Welcome to episode 12. Before we get started here, let's take a quick look back to last week's quiz, which I call, What in the World? Did you guess this one correctly, or did it catch you out? I really hope you weren't tricked into thinking it was a Famicom controller. Because it was a Game Boy Micro from 2005, with a rare Club Nintendo exclusive from Japan, the beautiful Player 2 Famicom faceplate. Nintendo launched an amazingly small, almost credit card-sized set of electronic game handhelds way back in April of 1980. While Nintendo were not the first to market with developing handheld gaming systems, they were without a doubt the most effective. They called their beautifully crafted handheld the Game & Watch. The name was, in my opinion, a very clever marketing ruse. By adding the word watch, Nintendo was able to edge its bets a little, making it primarily a toy, but with a practical watch function. A parent could perhaps be swayed on spending their money on this expensive new toy. It could be argued that the price of a watch coupled to the game was a saving overall. And a watch was an expensive item back in 1980. Nowadays most people own a cell phone, which in most cases is still larger today than the Game & Watch was back then, but fulfills the same function as a cell phone does today by showing the time. Perhaps not enough credit is given here to Nintendo's visionary outlook. Think about it, people no longer wear a wrist watch due to the cell phone, a practice that was commonplace in 1980. There were 5 Game & Watches in the first production run. These would later become known as the Silver Series. In America, the initial launch titles went under the Mego and Timeout brand. This is likely due to Nintendo not having enough distribution outlets, and nearly no brand recognition at this time. Mego was a well-known toy distributor at the time, however, under their terms of business with Nintendo, they required the game name changed. It went from the game name Ball, which was obviously preferred by Nintendo, to a more descriptive one called Toss-Up, chosen by Mego. I'm going to very briefly touch upon Gumpy Yokoi, the designer and driving force behind these handheld games. I'm going to produce an entire episode on the great man at a later date. Suffice to say here, Gumpy Yokoi saw a bored businessman idly playing with a liquid crystal display calculator, a common device for this time period. The gentleman was commuting on a Japanese bullet train, and was so distracted by this simple task. This encounter was fortuitous for Gumpy Yokoi. He began to think of how this well-established and proven LCD technology could be reused to manufacture a new leisure item. What we know now was this became the catalyst for Nintendo's Game & Watch concept, and the initial launch of the first handheld games by Nintendo. The handheld is as simple as it is beautiful. There are only 2 red buttons that are used when playing the game. The controls are quite simple. The left button, placed on the left side of the screen, moves both of the character's arms left, while the button on the right side moves the arms to the right. The goal of the game is to juggle the balls and make sure that they don't hit the ground. This can be done by moving the character's hands underneath the ball to catch it. Once the hand and the ball connects, the ball will be thrown back upwards and begin curving back to the other side of the screen. The user must once again reposition the hand of the figure so that he can catch it. Basically, the game is juggling. Once a single ball is missed and it drops to the ground, the game is over. If a high score is achieved, it will be retained, and the user must restart the game once more. There is Game Mode A and Game Mode B. In Game Mode A, the player juggles 2 balls and is rewarded with a single point with each successful catch. Game Mode B is identical, except you are required to juggle 3 balls instead of the previous 2, however you are given a massive 10 points for each successful catch. The highest possible score a user can obtain is 9,999 for Game Mode A. For Game Mode B, the maximum is slightly less at just 9,990. The original 1980s version of this game sold 250,000 units, and had the model code AC-01. In 1991, the very last original Game & Watch was issued, was called Mario the Juggler. This game effectively closed the loop on the Game & Watch series, because it was really only the character of Mario added to the game, replacing the original Mr. Game & Watch. Same game, 11 years apart. Then in 2010, Club Nintendo issued a replica of the original 1980s game. It was super realistic. Nintendo even mimicked the 2 screen pillars on either side of the screen, that the original had to use to hide wires from view. We then were offered a brand new offering in 2020, a backlit, color screen version of Super Mario Bros. That contained a version of Mario once again juggling. A truly beautiful representation of a former classic game. Several cameos from Mr. Game & Watch have occurred, but we'll save them for a later date. So this wraps up our look at the very first Nintendo handheld electronic game. I hope you enjoyed it, I really do. Now's the time to play What in the World? Today's What in the World? It's not really even a Nintendo item, but kinda is. Can you guess this one? Well, that's all folks. Thank you kindly. See y'all real soon.